This is Mrs. Toma. I'm going to do a PowerPoint presentation today about data. This will be a little brief introduction to data and how data looks like, how we can take data, and how we graph it. There are multiple ways that we can graph data, but today will be the most simpler version of how we can do it. So let's begin. What are picture graphs? Picture graphs show data that has been collected. Picture graphs use pictures to show different amounts. Picture graphs are just one type of graph. So just like how I said earlier, this is just one type of how you can take data. And this is just an introduction, so we're just going to show you the basics before we get to the more difficult things. So here is a picture graph. We have a title that says animals on the farm. We have the names of the types of animals: dogs, cows, pigs, and we have numbers here: 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now next to each name of the animal, there's pictures. And in each row, so if we go this way, it's a row, there's a different amount in each row of the animals. So in this row, there's 1, 2, 3 dogs. In this row, there's 1, 2 cows. And in this row, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pigs. So just like how I said, that's the title. At the top over here is the names of the animals, which is also called a label. And down here are the numbers to represent how many. And over here we have pictures drawn. Now you don't always have to draw pictures. You could also like make an X or a 0 or just a tally mark, which is just like a straight line down that looks like the number 1. So there's different ways that you can complete this. So in this case, they used pictures. So at the top it says how many dogs, how many pigs, and how many cows. So usually when you see data in picture form or in graph form, there's usually questions that you need to answer that go along with it. So this, the types of questions that we have at the top here is straight from just reading the chart. So how many dogs? We can just straight count 1, 2, 3. We would say there are 3 dogs. Remember to use complete sentences when we're answering questions. How many pigs? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 pigs. And how many cows? 1, 2. There are 2 cows. Which one has the most? Most means it's more. Which row has more in it? So just by, again, looking at the table, you can see that pigs fills up the whole row. They have 4. Cows have 2, dogs have 3, and we know 4 is the greatest number, so we would say pigs has the most. Now we have which one has the least, the smallest amount. So again, we know there's 3 dogs, 2 cows, and 4 pigs. The smallest number here would be 2. So we would say cows has the least. How many dogs and cows are there together? So now over here, together, that's a key word for addition. So we would have to add in this case. It doesn't tell us to add, but just from knowing key words when we're doing math word problems, that is a hint for us that we need to add. So we know dogs and cows. So we need to add up these 2 animals. So we have 1, 2, 3 dogs and 1, 2 cows. So 3 plus 2 is 5. So we would say there are 5 dogs and cows together. Now, how many cows and pigs together? So again, together, keyword for addition, we would add again. So cows and pigs, 2 cows, 1, 2, 3, 4 pigs, 2 plus 4 is 6. So we would say there are 6 cows and pigs together. So now the questions are getting a little bit more difficult, or that you have to just think a little bit more about these questions. You can't just look at the graph and get the answer. So it says the farmer bought 2 more dogs. How many dogs does he have now? So we know that there are 3 dogs, and if he's buying 2 more, we would use what we have on our graph and add it to this number. So we would do 3 plus 2, 5. So we would say the farmer now has 5 dogs. 3 pigs moved to a different farm. How many pigs are there now? So we have 4 pigs. Now, again, we need to read these problems carefully to decide, is this an addition or is this a subtraction word problem? So over here, moved would be our key word. Moved means they are leaving. So they're not coming, they're leaving. So that means we are going to subtract. So we have 4 pigs and 3 leave. So 4 minus 3 is 1. So we would say, to answer this question, there is now just 1 pig. How many more dogs are there than cows? So again, key words, many more. How many more? That is a hint for subtraction. We would need to subtract in this case. So we have 3 dogs and we have 2 cows. So we would subtract those 2 numbers together. 3 minus 2 is 1. So we would say there is 1 more dog than cows. And that blue line just shows how that there are 2 dogs and 2 cows, but the dogs just have 1 more than the cows. How many more pigs are there than cows? So again, the key word for subtraction, how many more? So we were going to subtract the pigs from cows. So we have 4 pigs, 2 cows. 4 minus 2 is 2. So we would say there are 2 more pigs than cows. And again, here's the blue line to show that these 2 are more than cows. So that's the end of this PowerPoint. But again, this was just a basic introduction just to show how to take data, how to read data. There's word problems that come along when you read data and how we're going about solving them. So maybe in this case, it doesn't tell us exactly, but maybe that there's a farmer who has different animals on his farm. And he just went ahead and said, okay, I have dogs and I have cows and I have pigs. So let me just write those 3 types of animals down. And I'm going to count each animal. So he realized I have 3 dogs. So he drew 3 dogs. He said, I have 2 cows. And he drew 2 cows. He said, I have 4 pigs. And he drew 4 pigs. And he probably created this chart for us to read and be able to solve these word problems. Other ways of taking data could be asking your friends, hey, how many dogs do you have at home? Or, I don't think your friends would have cows or pigs, but you could change these animals to cats or birds. Or you could say, what's your favorite subject at school? So data comes up with having a question. So maybe this farmer really wanted to know how many animals does he have on the farm. So maybe you would want to know, what is my class's favorite subject. And you would list all the subjects down, and you would have numbers on this side, and you can say, okay, class, how many of you like math? And you would count up how many kids like math and science and social studies and reading. And then you can draw pictures like this. So if 5 kids liked math, you would maybe can draw 5 X's or a little stick figure just to represent the student. So those are just very basic ways of how you can take data. And this was also just a little introduction to what data is and some questions that go along when you read data. In my next video, we will talk about a different form of how we can graph data.